Good morning, everyone. Today we are in Genesis chapter 21 as we read the Bible together, and we're going to run through a quick synopsis of the whole chapter and then go back to a couple verses that I want to camp on as we reflect upon today's reading. Now, we see in chapter 21 that what God promised to Abraham and Sarah finally takes place. They have a son together, even in their old age. God has a miracle take place, and Sarah and Abraham have a son together. They name him Isaac. And as I said, the promise that God had was fulfilled. Now, going on a little bit further, Sarah is still not very happy that Hagar, her servant, and Ishmael, the son that Hagar had when she slept with Abraham, are still living with the family. And so Sarah makes a big stink about it and talks to Abraham about it. Abraham gets upset at Sarah and says, "Ishmael is my son. I am not going to send them away." But God breaks in here and speaks to Abraham. He says, "Do not be upset over the boy and your servant. Do whatever Sarah tells you, for Isaac is the son through whom your descendants will be counted. But I will also make a nation of the descendants of Hagar's son, because he is your son too." So Abraham consents to Hagar and Ishmael being sent away. Abraham gives them, it says, food and a container of water, and Hagar and Ishmael end up wandering in the desert. Now, what ends up happening, though, is they run out of water, and Hagar gets so depressed and so just doesn't know what to do, that she ends up leaving Ishmael away from her and saying, "I have run out of water. I can't watch my son die." And God breaks in again and says, "Hagar, what's wrong? Don't be afraid. God has heard the boy crying as he lies there. Go to him and comfort him, for I will make a great nation from his descendants." And just as she goes back to get Ishmael, she sees that a well is off in the distance, and so they're able to replenish their water. But I love this promise to Hagar and Ishmael that even though this wasn't the chosen son, that God was going to make a great nation out of Abraham, he's still going to provide. He's still going to be faithful to them. So that's where we're going to read to in chapter 21. The second part's going to come tomorrow, but I want to go back and I want to look at the first two verses of chapter 21. And this is going back to the birth of Isaac and just talking about how God was so faithful. Verse 1 says, "The Lord kept his word and did for Sarah exactly what he had promised. She became pregnant and she gave birth to a son for Abraham in his old age. This happened at just the time God had said it would." Wow. I love the two phrases, exactly what he had promised and just the time God had said it would. And it reminds me about how in my own life there's a couple things that I am praying into. And timing is hard sometimes because we want it now and we want it according to our own expectations. But God, this reminds us that God at just the right time accomplishes what he has for us. And it reminds me of a verse out of the New Testament. That's Romans 8:28. And Paul writes, "And we know that God causes everything to work together for the good of those who love God and are called according to his purpose for them." And so this is a promise that he gives to us, that even though we may be questioning the timing in the moment, even though we may doubt how God is going to bring something about, we can rest in the promise that even though we don't know what's going to come tomorrow, even though we don't know how certain things are going to be accomplished in our lives, we can trust in the promise that he's going to work, God is going to work everything for good, just as he said he would at just the right time. Grace and peace to you all. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time.
If these devotional videos are helpful to you, subscribe to our channel and click the notification button so you know when we post a new video. And of course, please share them with others.